You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome all and welcome into the Insight NFL Podcast, Wednesday, 19th of November, a usual trade talk show, but we're spicing things up a little bit tonight, gents. We're adding in our Captains Huddle, which we normally do a nice little short form video that drops Thursday morning, but this time of the year, the trades, ins and outs, they kind of get pretty stock standard from week to week. We've got our premiums that we want to bring in at the end in each positions, and the trade outs is kind of, battling the injuries that are coming up throughout the year so far. And man, they just keep on piling on. So we'll change things around. Trade segment won't be as long, but our Captain's Huddle, if you are looking for options for this week, we'll have those guys primed and ready at the back end of this show. But Secko, throwing to you first. It's only Wednesday. It's already been a massive week. How are you feeling as we head into week 12?
Yeah, mate, it's good. I do have a short week. I've got a wedding on Friday, so it's only one more day of work, and
Nice.
it also coincides with Thursday night football. So, we're almost there, mate. But it's been a big week, and I've been away for a couple of days and itching to get back into the pod. So, pumped to be with you all.
Here we are, back into it. Mav, I know you're as pumped as always. We'll probably have a little bit of wet sock content coming in later in the show, so you're always keen for that. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. This is a good time of the week. It's actually the time I generally sit here and actually try and make my trades that I have to worry about tomorrow. So I usually sit here on the pod behind the scenes and make my trades and don't worry about it after that. So, it's been a good week for the on the SuperCoach front. For me, finally got a good score on the board. So we're back in. The app has been reinstalled.
Just like that. That's all it takes. Just one good week, and we're back on the hook. We absolutely love to see it. We normally do cover off injuries and whatnot. We did miss last night's pod, so there has been a few injuries, but we'll jump into all of that tomorrow night as we close things out. We'll have some more updates, hopefully on Josh Jacobs and what's happening there. That's a big one that we'll get to later on in the show. But yeah, week 11, it's we got decimated by that. But we'll jump into our week 11 unlimited winner of the week. And of course, as per usual, this segment is brought to you by our good friends over at NFL Helmets Down Under. If you're chasing any NFL full-sized helmets, mini helmets, memorabilia, or just straight up NFL apparel, like some nice vintage tees, make sure to go check those guys out. Their store is linked in the description below. Or if you want to throw it up on Insta, you can find them at NFL Helmets _Down Under. We'll throw up our winner of the week. And Mav, just when you thought you had a good week, our mates here, injury prone, Craig, just went even better, putting up a whopping 672 points. Absolutely love to see this weekend. Of course, he picked up the Josh Allen VC and cashed in on that from the top. So you can see he's got him as the quarterback with the captaincy. He had JT, CMC, Bijan, and Henderson and the running backs, but he looped in with JT on bye, so he would have had Tyron Tracy's junior score. Pretty lucky to have, both guys pretty similar there on the bench between Gibbs and Tracy. Also Shuck on the quarterback bench, who's gone real cheap there. Wide receivers, JSN, Nakua, Rasheed Rice, CeeDee Lamb, McConkey, and McMillan. He's got Roman Wilson and Cameron Johnson there on the bench. Tight ends, a couple of the two of the top three, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. Bellinger on the bench there. Tyler Loop as the kicker with Ryan Coe on the bench. Denver Broncos starting. Pats on the defense and Jalen Hurts in the flex. So all in all, pretty impressive score with a couple of down performances from Lad McConkey and also Rasheed Rice having a down week. But Mav, we'll throw this off to you. Week 12, only a couple of days away. What's the number one move you'd be looking to make out of this squad?
Look, there's probably a few things. Lad McConkey's still very up and down for the most part, so you'd probably look to move him on bye week. Look, to be honest with you, mate, and Secko will back me on this, but Jonathan Taylor is still holding a purpose in this team, isn't he? He's the loop option to get Josh Allen over the line for the 89 points that he scored on Monday. So he's still holding some sort of purpose in this team, even when he's not playing. So it's going to make both of us sick to our stomachs. And to be honest with you, mate, I had a pretty good week, just over 600. It should have been a lot better. This would be my team on the screen right now. So I'm pretty disappointed in that too. So all in all, mate, not a bad squad, but Lad McConkey on bye week is probably going to go.
Yeah, and I think even with the, outside of the bye week, that Chargers offense has taken a massive hit with that Joe Alt at the front there. Their offensive line is, bottom of the barrel without those guys. And Secko, for you, how do you feel about this team? Any clear standouts to move besides Lad McConkey?
I think it's probably time for Jalen Hurts to go. He hasn't he flashed a couple of times, but that offense is anemic at best. It's just a bit gross to watch, and they're playing gross. And I'm quite bullish on Saquon, to be honest. The last 6 or so weeks, so I'd probably move him on. Funny thing is, a lot of we'll get to it, but a lot of the trading options have some money to lose, so it's a bit of a tough spot. Like that, Mav hit the nail on the head. I was about to mention it. That Jonathan Taylor's even in the team of the week when he doesn't play. Does make you sick. And what makes me also more sick is all the people who were forced to put in Travion to cover for JT for the week. And he put up JT's score on Thursday Night Football. I was just like, the worst way to start a week for SuperCoach when you haven't got Jonathan Taylor and you've got Henderson on the bench and everyone's victory lapping because they got 59 on field. It's pretty much the summary of my SuperCoach season so far. So still 7 weeks. 7 weeks to go. Plenty of room to make up. But yeah, for injury prone, Jalen Hurts, Lad McConkey. If you've got trades left, obviously those guys are fresh to go. Otherwise, Lad's the priority, I think, this stage of the year.
No, well done, Craig, with this one here, injury prone. If you are watching this, make sure to get in touch. We'll have a few posts up tomorrow on socials as well. So if you see them, please reach out and we'll organise your standard squeeze 4-1 for your weekly win. And shout out to all the to Travion Henderson owners that stayed faithful. We're at times now, we're finally cashing in. And yeah, I can say it feels pretty good being able to slot him in when JT's on bye. That is for sure. But Jets, we'll jump straight into it. We've got a lot to cover tonight with our Captains Huddle added in at the back end. Our trade outs, we will start off at quarterback. But before we do have 4 teams on bye this week: the Dolphins, the Chargers, Commanders, and the Broncos. So we're going to have to, try and find a way around a couple of key pieces going out. I mean, the running back for the Dolphins, I'm not willing to say his name. He's going to be a key loss this week. As well with a couple of others there. But quarterbacks from the top, we did talk about Lad McConkey and getting rid of him. I think Justin Herbert, I think he can go as well. The Jags, or really any team that's going to have that pressure on that defensive line, I think they're just going to roll through this Chargers front. And Herbert, he just doesn't look like himself when he doesn't have that protection. And at 22.7 million, 9% owned, 85 break even, and on the buy, everything is just lining up to get rid of Herbert at this point in time. Secko, with you, how are you feeling about Herbert as well and this Chargers offense? I mean, Hampton could be back after the bye, might help things, but I'm not too sure if it'll be enough.
Yeah, look, it's quite obvious. You only have to watch like a quarter or less of any Chargers game. You see that Herbert's just got no time. His O-line is just a Swiss cheese offensive line at the moment. And it doesn't matter who the defense against them is. It seems they just get to him really easily and just force him to throw. So I'm actually looking forward to them, Hampton being back. So I feel like they'll revert back to what we know of Harbaugh and Roman potentially, and get more of that run game established. So probably a bit late for us in what is definitely too late for us in SuperCoach, but as an offense, it may get them running a little bit better. It's probably going to hurt Ladd, definitely going to hurt Keenan Allen. QJ and maybe Gadsden as well. I think I get the feeling that when he's back, they're going to revert to a more of a run first offense. Given their O line is really struggling on the passing side of things.
Yeah, no, they are for sure. You hate to see it with the Chargers. They're a very friendly team. A lot of people root for Justin Herbert and that Madison Beer combo. Mav, I know you're a big Madison Beer fan, but maybe someone that you're not so much of a fan of, JJ McCarthy. He's at just over 11 million. He still made you just under 2 million this week, but he just looks absolutely horrid. What are you looking to do with JJ for this week? I mean, are you looking to better trade just to purely get him off your roster at this point, so you don't have to look at the wet sock or the wet glove that someone has thrown into the chat? But yeah, what's your kind of thoughts on JJ for week 12?
Mate, if he was a racehorse, it'd be the curtains around him and you'd put him down.
Blue sheet comes up.
Look, to be honest with you, mate, at this time of the year, we're in week 12. He's made I don't know, what, $8-9 million. He's got a break even of 11. Look, that's probably achievable. And he'll probably end up making another, 600, 700 grand on top of what he's going to make this week. So, if you want to trade him off for like a Shedeur Sanders and make some money and cash in while you can, sure, I understand. It's probably a bit hard when there's 4 players or 4 teams on bye plus Jamar Chase. So that's a few players right there, and then that you'd want that you can no longer get. So yeah, I mean, if you want to trade him out, sure, he can go. But if you want to hold for another week and trade and do that next week, I understand that as well. But at some point in the next couple of weeks, you can get him off.
And I feel like a dilemma. I know myself, I've got JJ McCarthy there. I've only got 4 trades. If I'm looking to downgrade him, I need to use technically 2 trades to kind of cash in on that. At this point of the year, it might be hard for a lot of other managers out there to kind of move that around. Secko, with that JJ McCarthy, is it worth trading, effectively 2 trades at this point of the year to cash in on someone like that? Or you're happy just to ride with him on the pine, perhaps?
No, look, it's not. It's a trade for really late in the year. If you want to get someone and you need the second trade to probably facilitate it going down, but at this stage, I mean, he's still playing. He's not going to lose his spot because Wentz isn't coming back. So, yeah, he's more of an absolute catastrophe emergency fill in if you need someone just to score some points, right? But I just don't see any value in trade unless you have sort of 8+ trades probably at this stage. You can use 2. I wouldn't want to get much further down than 1 trade a week if you're not already down there, because I think if you're playing for rank and you sort of thereabouts, you could have a massive point of difference if dudes start spitting on people more commonly and get a week for it. You may want to make that. You can make that move, whereas others are stuck with having to put in, who Cameron Johnson or Roman Wilson, who Craig had on his bench. It's just, if you can have those trades up your sleeve, injuries happen. We know it, and that's probably where we sit in this game. Is round like week 15, 16 could be just like chaos, and 4 good players get injured. 3/4 of the teams can't field a team because they're out of trades and they can't field a team. So yeah, that could be a massive leg up. So I just think if you've got 6 or less trades, there's no point at this stage.
Hold on to your trades, guys. We're going to need them down the stretch. And Secko, I'll throw it back to you. Another quarterback that we're looking to move out this week. Who do you have that you're keen to move for week 12?
Well, obviously, there's injured guys. Like Michael Penix is a guy. He's out. If you've got, I don't think many have got him. I'm not sure his percentage is, but pretty low. There's another guy, Drake May. Drake May's a guy, right? It's I had planned. I'm an owner, so I can talk about Drake May pretty intimately. I'd planned to move him. I'm going to say 4 weeks ago. Whenever Lamar and Allen were off their bye, that was like my set in stone plan. No chance of wavering. But he's just been really good. And even last week, he played. He didn't score well, but he played well. And I feel like the scores are going to come now. He's a trade out because he's got to buy in a couple of weeks. So you're going to move him on at some point. The problem with that is break even 52. He's playing the Bengals. He could kill that. I think it's a dangerous game moving off a guy like that facing what is pretty clearly the biggest green light for fantasy success on the season. So he's an option, but the guys you're going to from him, outside of Josh Allen, if you haven't got him, are probably going to lose some more cash. So you can probably buy a week if you wanted to do that.
And even better, you've still got a couple of weeks until he goes on that bye for the Patriots in week 14. Mav, anyone else here that you want to highlight to move out? I know Secko touched on Michael Penix Jr. We've had word that he's on IR, out for the year. He's at a nice 15 million, so we can flick him off and kind of, move into a better option. But anyone else besides those guys that you'd be looking to move for week 12?
Nah, obviously the big penis, he can go. He's obviously out, so yep, he can go. And then if you got Bo Nix as well, he's been horrible for the most part of the year, apart from maybe 2 weeks. So if you've got him still on your roster and you can't trade him out, now's the week he's on bye week. So yeah, you can get rid of him. But yeah, I mean, Drake May is an interesting one, isn't it, fellas? I mean, I was looking at it too. Do I go earlier than Drake May or do I not? But reality is Lamar Jackson's got a break even of 78, so he's probably going to lose money this week. That will lead perfectly into a Drake May bye week when you can get Lamar dirt cheap if you haven't got him already. So, or if he's in your flex, you can get Jonathan Taylor, depending on how much money you got. So you can almost go 5 RBs there if you wanted to be a bit cheeky like that. But yeah, this is the beauty about the flex position. You can get the best available player who's scoring the best amount of points at that time of the year, if that's where Drake May is, which I assume he would be. So yeah, I think hold for one more. Hold for one more.
Hold for one more, May, but Bo Nix, while he is on a bye and a massive 75 break even, he can definitely go. But luckily, there's only a small percentage of owners out there with him on roster, which you absolutely love to see. Running backs for trading out this week, and from the top, the one that we're still waiting for confirmation on how real that injury is. Josh Jacobs, he's just at over 18 million, 57 break even. It was a knee contusion, so that's what we're kind of hearing at the moment. It's still up in the air. Is he going to miss this week? Is he going to miss multiple weeks? Secko, at this point of the year, like we have been talking about how premium these trades are at this point of the year. I mean, if you've got Henderson, you're more than happy just to roll with Henderson in that starters and just let Jacobs ride the pine until we get some health and a bit more clarity on that, or are you looking to move out from Jacobs early?
It's a tough one. If you've got Travion, I think you can. Assuming Ramondre's out, that is. If Ramondre's back, I just don't trust Vrabel to not hand the keys back over to him. So if he's out, yeah, absolutely, you can trust him. He's a top 8 running back this week against the opponent. So you can ride out a week and then see. The problem is that the options to go to at the moment are not amazing. Outside of obviously, if you can go Jacobs to Taylor, you've got 11 mil spare obviously there, but I think Jacobs, it doesn't sound as bad as it did. Having said that, they did come out and say it's not season ending, that no one thought it was. But if they thought they had to mention that, sometimes that's a bad sign. That it might be 2 or 3 weeks, but we'll see. I think you can hold a week, cover with Hendo, and then reassess based on the news that comes out over the next week and a half.
And Mav, for you, we've got a couple of rookies here that just haven't been performing the way that we had hoped these last couple of weeks. I know RJ Harvey, he's been a favorite. He's just over at 12% owned. He had the full keys to the kingdom, we thought, but Sean Payton doing Sean Payton things. McLaughlin got the touchdown after he's done nothing all year. Bidet had a little bit of work. RJ Harvey only put up 13 points in this one. It was a tough Kansas City defense. You can kind of take that for what it is. And also Quinshon Judkins, just under 10% owned, just over 11 million. So they're around the same cost, but him putting up 11 on that terrible Cleveland offense with Shador looking to start by the looks, with Gabriel dealing with a concussion. Are you looking to move both of those guys, or is that more of a luxury trade if you have them up your sleeve at this point of the year?
Yeah, it's actually, this is where the part of the season where it gets quite difficult, right? So, RJ Harvey's at a very awkward price at $10 million. You're not really going to trade somebody in as a rookie because there's no one really there that you'd want. And then you have to spend $7-8 million to upgrade him. So it's a very awkward cost at this time of the year. I'd be more looking to trade someone like a Javonte Williams. If you still own him, it's perfect time now. He's sitting at 14.9 million, so nearly $15 million. He's got a 47 break even. The Cowboys offense is very up and down. I still think it runs through Dak personally. And then Javonte's just a beneficiary if it happens, if they get goal line carries, or if they get long balls all day. And I don't think Javonte will get much of a go, but I think this is the right time to move him on. Keep in mind at running backs, you can only start 4 in your running back room in this format. So generally speaking, I don't think Javonte's in the top 4, top 5, maybe even top 6 for the remainder of the year. So I think he has to go. And then RJ Harvey, if you got him, I think he's bench material and he's there simply for coverage if you need him. Because as I said, he's at that awkward price, so there's no point doing anything with that. I reckon there's no point chucking $7 million onto him. It's just yeah, you could do, there's probably other options you can probably do to fix that. But yeah, there's heaps of options. I mean, look, you have Vidal, you've got Quinshon Judkins, like they're all sort of, these players are at a similar price, but what can you do with them? Is a problem. So they're all within $1 million of each other. RJ, Quinshon, and Vidal, and as I said before, we can't move them on to anyone below. There's no one below, and we're chucking so much money on them to upgrade. So it's tough. It's very tough. But yeah, these guys realistically, outside of Javonte, would be on your bench. So you'd think anyway. So if they are, keep them, I think. And if they're not, then yeah, maybe upgrade them, obviously. But yeah, that's probably the position that most people are in if that's who you've got.
For sure. And Vidal, you were talking about, he's just under 10 million, 15 break even on the buy, and it looks like Hampton could look to start getting ramped back up. So he could just well and truly lose his job. But just wait and see. If you need to move him at a later point when Hampton comes back, you can look to make that move now. Save those trades until you need it. But wide receivers, gents, a couple of the top guys on buy in that mid-price range. Ladd McConkey, we spoke about. You can probably get rid of him. He's at 13.2 million on the buy. You're not going to be looking to keep him season long. And there's a couple of key guys that we mentioned also with the quarterbacks and running backs that their price has dropped significantly the last few weeks. So it's not going to take that too much to move up from Ladd to another one. And Jalen Waddle, he's been pretty good. I mean, I'd be looking to hold him on your bench if you can at 13.2 million, 24 break even. He's looked very dominant without Tyreek Hill not there, but this week in Spain, we're just a bit down on him. And it was a bad time to pick his receiving line overs because he was well under that over there in Spain. But guys, any other wide receivers in Secko? Starting off with you, Jamar Chase, that whole spitting thing, twice it's happened this year. I don't think I've ever can think of a time where I've been watching NFL and I've seen another player spit on someone else. Maybe 2025 people are just getting a bit freaky and it's the year for it. But with him suspended, that's been confirmed for 1 week. He's already lost you 2.4 million from last week, just under 20 mil, 66 break even. What are you looking to do with Jamar Chase? Oh, you're on mute, Secko.
Sorry. So the thing about Jamar is he's going to miss obviously another week. So he missed last week with bye. And so he's over the span of 5 weeks, he's played 3 games and he's gone 30, 28, and 9. That's I don't know, like that's just not top 6 material for me. He's obviously that good, when he's going, but it's hard to carry him through another missed week. Having said that, you've got to have someone to trade into as well if you really wanted to. And again, it's probably a luxury position. He's that good, but I just think at this stage, unless you've got some really good bench cover, you potentially, if you've got London and Chase, you've got a choice to make. If you've just got Chase, you might look into trading him to one of the others who we'll get to on the trade-ins later on.
And I think too with Drake London, nice little segue. He is dealing with that PCL injury. Again, could miss multiple weeks there for Atlanta. He's made a boatload of cash the last couple of week stretch for him. He's made 1.7 million this week, 42 break even, 23% owned. Is he the top price guy at the moment? I think he might be in that position. He's at 21 million, which is just.
He's made $5 million the last 3 weeks and he's scored 140 points. If you had Drake London, you should just be taking this as a blessing that you can get off him now, use the injury as a way to get off. He's made you 5 mil. If you go down to CD Lamb, for example, you make another over 5 mil. That's $10 million out of a Drake London. You're getting a better player. So I think, him, we'll get to a lot later on, but there's options. They're all cheaper because Drake London's just made cash on cash after that big week in a solid one. So
plus if Drake London
is no brainer.
Plus, if Drake London plays this week, for argument's sake, he's got a QB change. And we saw how bad Kirk Cousins was in that time that he's played, even this across the year. It's been limited amounts, but even just the sample size that we've seen from Kirk Cousins has not been great. So, Penix, I'm not a big Penix fan by any stretch. I think he's an average QB, and that's okay. There's plenty of average QBs in the competition. But the good thing about Penix is he supported Drake London very well, peppered him with targets, and he made do of what he could do. I don't think Kirk Cousins can do that in 2025 in the back end of the year. So Drake London trading him out, especially with the injury, with the QB change, it's just honestly it's pornography at this time of the year. You're gonna make money. You're gonna make money.
Yeah, it's a perfect trade, absolutely for sure. Ones where you don't have to use an extra one to try and flip and make a bit more cash that way. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb to him, that's unreal. I'd love to get that trade done in traditional leagues if I could, but with that, Kirk Cousins in there, everything is lining up for Kyle Pitts, but we might get that onto that later on. Robidoux, guys, I have to ask this point of the year, been a bit disappointing now that Bears offense, it's very not consistent whatsoever for him. He was a nice mid-price guy that we liked and hoped to perform down the stretch, but he's been pretty average these last couple of weeks, but he did still make money with his low break-even. Secko, again, is this the kind of guy that you want on your bench as cover to get you through this, or just someone you want to get rid of completely before he loses more cash?
No, he's 100% a bench cover guy. If you've got him now, he shouldn't be on your field. If he is, you probably just you may want to move him out. Again, his price, sort of like Mav touched on with the running backs, 12 mil's not a great price, but it's a lot easier to get to one of the top receivers, given that a few of them have dropped a bit over the last few weeks. But Rome's averaging more than Chase over the last 3 weeks, last 4 weeks. So again, it's been bad, but it's it's not as bad as some others out there. Obviously, a lot better than a few other train wrecks at the moment. But he had one down week. He had a couple of bad weeks 3 or 4 weeks ago. But he's been pretty consistent otherwise. He's consistently sort of over that, that high 20s and up all but 3 games. So I think he's a good bench stash. If you've got injuries that pop up, he can play. He can erupt any week. Sort of Travion Henderson style from last week. If you need him for a replacement, he can go because in a right matchup, Caleb's good enough to get in the ball. He's good enough to get open a lot. So he's definitely an upside kind of guy who's the perfect one to have in your wide receiver 7 or 8 spot.
And the last name that we'll touch on here in a wide receiver, and it hurts to bring this up. I feel like this guy at the start of the year, you'd be absolutely dreaming trying to move him on. But Justin Jefferson, 12.7 million. He's lost 5.7 mil on the season. Does not look to be a top 8 or 10 wide receiver there with JJ Wet Stinking Sock McCarthy. Mav, throwing to you at this point, do you hope that things kind of get better there and you save a trade with JJ on the bench? Or it's just a gross one to even think, because with his averages at the moment, it's not even the top 20 for wide receivers, which is definitely, we're only starting 6, not even close to where we need to be at this point of the year. But what are your thoughts on Justin Jefferson with JJ, your best mate McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, I've got him as well in terms of Justin Jefferson. So I'm in the same category and have been for at least half the season so far. Look, the problem is if you've got let's say 8 or more trades, 7 more trades, you could probably afford to trade Jefferson out. Depends on what the situation is as well. I mean, if you got Drake London, if you got Jamar Chase, you might have bigger holes there. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, well, not really, unfortunately, but Justin Jefferson's playing. He's healthy. He's good to go. The positive about Justin Jefferson is he's seeing a lot of targets. The target share is high. He's seeing double-digit targets every game. The bad thing is they're selling over his head. Unfortunately, it's one of those trades where if you can do it now, cool, I understand you can do it, but you might be in a situation where you just can't afford to do it just yet. Maybe you wait a couple of weeks when you can afford to do it, but until then, when you've got 4 teams on bye, you get a couple of key injuries or suspensions as such, it might not be a situation that you can do it now, but definitely down the line. I'm looking to trade him on in a few weeks' time. It might be one of my last few trades I've got left. But again, he's one of those players that if you trade him on now, he'll hurt you in a couple of weeks' time. He'll get going. He'll get that chemistry going with McCarthy, or something will happen, and you'll go, shit, now he's a top 5, top 6 option for the remainder of the year. But it's happened with Jamar Chase when we had not Joe Flacco, when we had the other retard. What was his name?
Jake Browning.
Browning, yeah. So, everyone was the same thing. Everyone was like, oh, shit, I got to trade out Jamar Chase. We've got Jake Browning here. And I did it too. I'm thinking, shit, why did I do that? Now they got Flacco. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I just, I think I'm holding just a little bit longer. He's seen too many targets for me to trade him out.
Yeah, the talent's still there. You could do a whole lot worse with him on your bench for sure at this point, but you just can't really have any faith in starting him at the moment. Tight ends, we've got a couple of easy names here that you have to move out from if you do have them on hand. Sam Laporta, a couple of days before the Monday slate kicked off here in Australia, on IR with a back injury, up in the air with timeline on that one from the Detroit camp. You hate to see it. He's been looking pretty good, and the stretch run home for the Lions in that tight end position is really juicy as well. So that one hurts if you had him just under 10% ownership. Have to move on IR. It's and again, he could miss the year at this point. It just doesn't. Everything's up in the air at that point. Secko, for you, is there any other tight ends that you're looking to move, whether it's guys on buys or maybe dealing with injuries at this point of the year?
It's one of those positions where there's some guys with decent currency who can be moved on. One of them is Rondo Gadsden. He's been great, but we've spoken a couple of times about how bad that offense is in Chargers and just how bad the O-line is. And Gadsden's, copped a bit of that. He's had 18, 5, and 10 the last three. Dropped almost $2 million the last couple of weeks. So he was up almost to $12 million. That was probably the time to get off him. But, we've spoken about it sort of at length. There's three tight ends you want. One of them's 18 mil, so hard to get to. Trey McBride, George Kittle 14, and Bowers 15. Gadsden's only a little bit more to go up. It is a bit, but say you're going down from London, you're making some money, you've got some trades up your sleeve. You can go London and Gadsden and still get two upgrades. So I think Gadsden's time to go if you haven't got two of the top three tight ends on your field at the moment. If you're rocking with a Gadsden on field or I think a few people are doing Gadsden in their tight end too and still have Waller. So time to move that on, get your two tight ends sorted. But Gadsden's a candidate for that.
39 break even as well with on the buy. It's a very good chance he doesn't hit that when they get back into it in week 13. Matt, for you, again, tight ends, absolutely love to talk about them. In terms of a trade out, is there anyone else that kind of comes to mind from this week that you are looking to must move at this point of the year?
Not necessarily. There's probably no real must move unless you own Sam Laporta, obviously, but you would have done that before the game started last week. You'd imagine that news came out on the weekend, so you'd expect that to be dealt with already. And obviously Kincaid's sort of same category. That we knew that they were going to be out in advance. So yeah, that should have been traded already. If they haven't been, if you still have them, then sure, it's time to definitely get rid of them, especially Laporta, who's out for a minimum 4 and maybe 3 now. It's still a long time. And Kyle Pitts, I had to mention this guy's name in here. He has to go. He's not a fancy relevant option at any point. And now we've got Kirk Cousins. So if you own Kyle Pitts, please delete the app.
I mean, yeah, I just think could be wheels up. I might have to look at him as a nice little pod to bring in here. Just when everybody's doubting him at his worst, this is where he's going to shine. The brightest Kyle Pitts, we need you badly. Guys, kickers. And Secko, I'll throw this quickly to you. Again, this point of the year, we've spoken in the last couple of trade shows. You really don't want to be using too many trades on kickers. I mean, Mav, you also mentioned looking on for next year, you want to kind of play that game that there's two kickers that you have. You're balancing those buys, so you only really have to burn one trade if you can. But Secko, for you, even if guys are on buy, again, you're hoping that you've got a kicker on bench that you can just slot in, or if you've got a premium like Cameron Dicker who's on the buy, would you be looking to pull that trigger now?
If you've been rocking with a loop, which a lot of people have, you don't have to as well. I mean, you got the flex. It's probably going to burn you a few points because inevitably someone will struggle on your field. But you could just hold him, run one short, have your loop ready to go there. But you can. It's how many trades you've got. If you've got sort of 6+, you can move him on to anyone. Like there's only a handful of guys who haven't had to buy yet. So You can move him on. He's good money as well. So again, he can free up some money for later on when you might need to make an emergency trade. Him being 13 mil, you can make up to $10 million out of him if you really wanted to, and have that in your bank, because you will have trades to go. You will use them at some point. So yeah, an extra 10 mil could be the difference between having to settle for a so and so or going up to a primo when you have that injury that hits. So yeah, it's up to you. It's how many trades you've got really, but you can hold Dicker as well as Lutz. There's another one on buy who's a little bit owned, but it's all dependent on the amount of trades, which makes it hard.
Fingers crossed you have a kick on that bench you can slot in if you do have any of those guys on buy. Defenses, again, very similar to kickers as well. We've got the Broncos on buy at 8.6 million. The Cardinals, I think you could probably look to get rid of them if you do have those trades up your sleeve. I mean, they've been pretty dismal the last couple of weeks. I think they put up a negative score this week against the 49ers. They would have had to with how many points they put on, surely. What have I got here? Yeah, minus two. So, yeah, they've lost you $1 million. Hopefully you move from them early. Mav, I know we touched on the 49ers. They are at bottom price at the moment. Their defense is horrid, but, you know, is it worth moving a trade? Because you can't really do too much with that 3.6 million at this point of the year.
Yeah. I mean, defenses. I made my trade last week, mate, and it was the top. It was a top defense in SuperCoach, and they even let me down. So that shows you the fact that you just never know with defenses in any given week. They scored 4 points. Seattle scored 4 points this week. They were the best defense in SuperCoach. They scored 4 points, and the team that's cooked me all year in terms of the San Francisco 49ers, they outscored the Seahawks. So you know what? The SuperCoach build has gone, fuck you, Mav. We're not making defensive trades ever again. Never happening. Don't do it. Don't even boost to do it. It's just not worth it. So next year, boys, I'm looking to just trade in start with a defense. It's actually half decent and it can actually be good. So I'm not looking for a bottom dollar team that might be okay, and you're risking the fact that I might do it. I'm investing and keeping them so I don't have to trade them out at any point throughout the year.
That's it for defenses. Then our trade outs with trade ins, and we'll kick things off with the quarterbacks. And again, besides these top three, even looking at the pricing, you really can't, or you really shouldn't look anywhere else. I mean, if you've been looking to bring in Lamar or Patrick Mahomes at this point, hopefully you've already got Josh Allen because he made you $2.5 million last week. So no discounts there, no mates rates. But for Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, they both lost 1.9 million this week. And again, if you're waiting to bring in one of those guys, the timing just could not be any better. I know in particular, Lamar, if you are looking to bring in either of those two, he would be the one that I think we all kind of gravitate to as consensus of Insight NFL. Jets this week, Cincy next week, Pittsburgh, Cincy again, and then they've got the Patriots, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. So the Pats and Green Bay is pretty tough, but I mean, these next 4 weeks for Lamar, he's got a 79 break even heading into week 12. He could hit that against the Jets. You just never know. Secko, with you as well, is that kind of how you see it as well? Like outside that top three, with just how friendly their prices are in Lamar and Pat, it's really hard to look elsewhere.
It is really hard. Obviously, I think Josh Allen has got that. That was, if you were sort of waiting on him, because he had a fairly high break even last week. Not fairly high, but it was a chance he wasn't going to hit it. And he just, the 89 was absolutely glorious off a couple of quieter weeks. But we've said it for a while now. It's a 3-horse race. Some people got potty, and when Stafford, we sort of brought it up a couple of times just to have because some people want to do pods. They don't want to settle for the 3. They think there's a way to catch up to the big guns. But it's a pretty clear cut. Like Herbert got an 8, Stafford 26. I know Lamar struggled, but like you just mentioned, his next 4 weeks, unbelievable. And people worried about him and asking whether do they trade Lamar out, which is crazy. It's the opposite. He's had a bad week. He's gonna, he could go. He could hit his 78 break even next week against the Bengals pretty comfortably as well. So we saw Josh have an 89. Lamar can do that. So again, it's Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh Allen. If you haven't got them, you want 2 of the 3. Again, you can wait. If you've got someone you're comfortable with, you can wait because Mahomes and Lamar for 2 will definitely drop some money. And that money could come in handy, as I said, those trades down the back end when you have to make them. Having an extra 2 or 3 mil might be all the difference between getting a start and getting a ceiling for someone. So,
And Mav, same thing for you. Mav, same thing for you. These top 3, pretty locked and loaded. That's going to be pretty standard. Secko's saying we've really said this from the start. That's the top 3, and it is that's how it's playing out so far this year. Do you think there's anybody else that could kind of emerge in these final 7 weeks to kind of crack into that top 3 or get near it that you'd be willing to? I mean, Drake May, he's pretty much right there at the moment, but he still has that bite to come. So you just, you get that extra game bringing in one of these guys either way. But outside of that, anyone else that you think might emerge inside that top 3?
Nah, not really, guys. To be honest with you, I'm not really too interested in anyone else outside of the top 3. Yeah, top 4 if you want to include Drake May, he's been fine, but he's got the bye coming up. So outside of that, there's not really a lot of interest. If you want to make a pod, sure, I get it, I understand, but reality is you're probably going to lose if you do that. So unfortunately, it's one of those games where you're going to have to follow the sheep and get the guys in who you think is going to score the most, because they probably will.
They probably will indeed. And the running backs...
There is one, hang on. So can I bring up one real disgusting, hold your nose pod?
Can I guess?
Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, I was going to guess that.
Oh, you should have guessed. Sorry, mate. I went quick. He is, the last 3 weeks, he is the 4th ranked quarterback in the game. That includes Jackson Dart, who only played 1 game in that period. So he's as hot as anyone in the game. He's 17 mil, so you're not getting a super discount on him, but you are saving a bit of cash. If you want to get potty for just being for the fun, and if you're 10,000 in the rankings or something, want to have some fun. I heard a stat. I think he's only 2 quarterbacks have been in the top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy for 4 straight weeks. Him and Patrick Mahomes this year. Only 2. Even Allen hasn't done it. Lamar, Stafford, none of them. So consistency, even without Harrison, I'm just saying it's gross. If you want to get potty for the sake of it, Kobe.
That's having way too many beers over the weekend, and you've been on your phone, blacked out, and bang, you've got Jacoby there. But I like it. It's that's definitely potty. It's just under 17.5 million. Very achievable.
I was gonna say, and he's a captain for you too.
Yeah, well, could be. We'll see how this matchup up against the Jags comes this week. But Tampa Bay in week 13, not too bad. But then the Rams, Houston, and then Cincinnati week 17. I mean, hopefully you watched our must make moves last week for traditional fantasy, because Jacoby in week 17, he could get you that chip. You just never know. Running backs here, again, this point of the year, it is hard to really move away from the chalk. At this point, we covered last week kind of our top 4 to 6 rankings that we have there. JT, again, 29 million. He made you 1.6 million the last time he played. Or I think even on the buy, because his break even was that low, you can't make cash on the buy. Is that correct?
The week before, yeah, the week before he made.
The week before,
when we all thought he would drop some cash and maybe get cheap at the buy, he went up even more.
Yeah, he's unreal. But definitely, it's a bit hard to get into him at that point at 29 million. That is absolutely phenomenal. But Jahmyr Gibbs, he lost a little bit of cash last week, 40K. So again, 9 break even. Definitely one that you can throw in there. Bijan, just under 18 million. He's at a 22 break even, so you got a discount from him if you can look to slide him in. The other one you won't get a discount, Christian McCaffrey with Brock Purdy under center. He just looks so good. If there's anyone to compete with JT, I think for the back end of the year, it will be CMC with that 49ers offense fully firing. But he does have the bye to come in week 14 there. The Dolphins running back, A-Chain, however you'd like to sling that one. He's also in there, but on the bye. You're not going to look to bring him in this week. And Mav, we've got these top 4 or 5 guys here. Sometimes, at this point of the year, I feel like some managers, they mightn't have enough cash. They might be a little bit strapped in this position and, heading into week 12. Do you have any other names for us that you'd like to kind of switch out that you think could kind of crack that top starting 4 with the run home that are maybe a bit more friendlier price?
Probably not. I probably don't have anyone. I mean, it's probably cut and dry that these are the best running backs in the league. There's not really anyone that's getting hot to get into that point as well. I mean, we had Rico Dowdle he was hot for a bit, and then he's gone back to just average, I suppose. But Tripper Hubbard obviously still having an impact on the squad for some reason. But he's still there. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, look, Bucky Irving, if he ever gets healthy and plays, maybe he's in that same category. But again, who knows what he's going to be like after injury? Who would know what that looks like? Mate, DeAndre Swift has actually been quite good in the past sort of 5-6 weeks. He's been really good. He's actually averaging 31 points a game over the last 5, and that's still 21 points behind Jonathan Taylor. And that's he's ranked number 6 in the last 5 weeks. So as good as DeAndre Swift has been, you can tell that the gap difference between him and Jonathan Taylor. And to be fair, you can put Christian McCaffrey, Gibbs, A-Chain, and James Cook in that category as well. He's behind all of them. So it's hard. It's hard. There's not really a pod there that really struck me that I would really, really want. If you want to, Swift's been, as I said, Swift's been good. Kyron Williams is generally pretty dependable, but again, Corum still is lurking around like a mosquito. And then you've got obviously, Bucky Irving. Bijan, boys, has been pretty average over the last 5. He's actually been worse than Swift. And who knows what that's going to look like now with the offense, with a QB change. Maybe he gets 15 to 20 carries a game and goes Burko because they have to rely more on him, which I suspect that might be the case. Or the offense just completely just falls off and he's irrelevant. But I would imagine Bijan now should be back on track and getting bulk carries and bulk work and should be quite efficient in these touches as well.
Yeah, it's one to look with Bijan and that Falcons offense with Kirk, Captain Kirk there on the center. One that I don't mind under that 15 million price range. Derrick Henry, if you are struggling for cash, he's got a 23 break even, made you 40K last week. But the next 4 weeks, very, very appealing. The Jets this week, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh might be a little bit tougher, but those divisional games, Derrick Henry can perform a bit higher. And Cincinnati in week 15. So you've got Cincinnati twice and the Jets over 3 of the next 4. He could go absolutely berserk and really help get you through if you are struggling for a bit of cash there with those top premium guys. Secko, you mentioned Saquon Barkley as someone that you're liking at the moment with their run home. Is he an option for you? He's just under 17 million. Would you rather, at this point, I'll put it to you, Bijan with that Falcons offense and Kirk, or Saquon emerging with that stretch home that they have?
That's probably still Bijan. He's just, I think what it's going to do is it's going to take away Algier more. Having Kirk, I think they're going to have to rely a little bit more on traditional, Bijan doing it all, especially with London out. And I think London's going to be out for a few weeks. I didn't touch on it, but I think he might miss 2 or 3. The PCL is sort of what Pearsall had, missed 6 weeks, and Bowers had it. He tried to come back, was shit, had to miss 3 or 4 more. So I'm worried about him long term, but I think Bijan's just going to be the entirety of the offense, which he might not be. And he might be stopped because of it, because he's a weapon out of the backfield, and Kirk Cousins actually can pass the ball to a running back. He can't do much else, but he should be able to do that. Saquon is a good pick, I think, because I think they're going to. It's the sort of cold weather narrative that sort of comes this time of year. He's in that sort of mold. I think Henry's the best pick. Just quietly, he's cheaper as well. He's 2 million cheaper, and he's going to be really good with that run. But if you don't want to go to him, or you've already got him, there's a bunch of cold weather matches. They play at home, so around weeks 15, 16, 17, home in Philly, cold, maybe snowing. Washington, cold, maybe snowing around in week 16. And week 17 he's in Buffalo, which will definitely be cold and snowing in week 17, and then back at home again in the last game. So 2 of those, and they've got Vegas, Washington, Buffalo, then Washington. So 3 absolute layup matchups in the last 4. I just think he's he's probably the best option to be the 6th running back now. If Jacobs misses time, I think it's a pretty clear fire we hit on off the top, and then there's a sort of just pick your best. I like the Kyle Williams shout. He's consistent, which is great. He's had a bunch of scores in the mid to high or mid to low 30s over the last month, and he's consistent. But I think Barkley is really screwing up to be a massive end of the year, if not right away.
I love it. I've tried to trade for him in just about every traditional fantasy league I have, with the deadline closing up this week, and a lot of them. In terms of cheapies, gents, Mav, is it Trevion Henderson? I mean, if you got rid of him and you're late to the party, is it worth bringing him in at this point, or is it just way too late? I mean, he made $4.5 million last week, minus 47 break even. They've got Cincinnati this week, and that kind of lurking question if Ramondre Stevenson kind of comes back in and gets meaningful time after missing the last few weeks. Or how does that look for you? 12.46 million, definitely still achievable, but could be too late to the party at this point of the year.
Yeah, probably. I mean, why would you get someone in that's $12.4 million and you don't plan on starting him? It's probably the real scenario that I feel is the case. I mean, he's got a negative 47 break even. He's projected to make another $3.5 million. So, you're only really in it for $3.5 million technically. So I don't see the purpose or the point in doing that personally. Bashal Tootin is probably an option if you wanted to go real cheap. Look, he's currently a bit banged up, but they reckon he's going to be okay. And look, to be honest with you, I think I've preferred him over Etienne for the most part of the year, to be honest. I think he's, if it's not going to be this year that he takes over, it'll be next year. It's sooner rather than later. So he's got a 1 break even. If you want a downgrade option, he's $5.5 million, and his role's probably just getting bigger and bigger as the weeks go along. He's gonna make you money. But again, at this point in time, if you do trade him in, just keep in mind he will be stuck on your squad for the remainder of the year. So if you need coverage, be prepared that Tootin might be that guy. If you do need that, if you're stuck with a stack of Bill and Tootin on the bench, just be wary that one of them may be required if you've got no trades or minimal trades, or bye weeks or anything like that. You might be stuck with one of those guys for a week.
Love it. And wide receivers, again, the usual suspects that we are locked and loaded into our final squad. If you don't have them already, JSN, Puka, CD Lamb, Amon-Ra, Rashee Rice is still kind of tinkering around there as well. Dan Week against the tough Denver Broncos defense. Drake London, no more. We're getting rid of him. Justin Jefferson, you can't really trust him at this point. Jamar Chase, he just loves spitting on people, so he's going to miss the week. But again, if you don't have enough trades, you're happy just to roll with him. Secko, is there anyone else that you're really, looking to bring in at this point other than these top guys? I mean, again, similar to running backs, it's this point of the year, might be a bit strapped for cash. Christmas is coming up. You've got to put some more cash into Christmas gifts this time of the year. What's some key cheaper options that you'd be keen to bring in from week 12?
Yeah, so there's a couple of guys I sort of wanted to touch on. One of them was Nico Collins. He's been actually really good with Davis Mills, and Davis Mills is in again. So not sure what's happened to CJ Stroud. It's a 3-week concussion, which sort of getting into soft benching territory just quietly. It's very rare to have that long a concussion without any real news about it. It's just sort of like, rubbed out. He's still not good. So weird, but Mills has been really good for him, and he's actually a lot better than I thought he'd be. Since he's come in, so he's an option. He's achievable. He's affordable. Chase to him can make you $5 million or thereabouts. Again, London to him makes bloody $7 million. It's big money, so it's handy cash as well. If you've already got everyone else, and you can't trade London to Jamar, you may want to go for Nico as your 6th guy. The other guys we've talked about him in the trade outs. Justin Jefferson, we don't want to talk about a trade in. That's sort of what I want to touch on him, but just having a look, and if anything improves, and I think Mav sort of touched on it. You might kick yourself if you get rid of him and things come good. But you're looking at his schedule: 2 tough weeks, Green Bay, Seattle. He's got Commanders, Dallas, Giants. That's 3 weeks where it's about 3 of the best, probably 3 of the best 4 um, passing defenses to play against. So if they get it right, if O'Connell is as good as people think he is at making quarterbacks, this guy can do something. And Mav said it. He's getting high level targets. They're just really bad targets. If those targets come good, maybe Justin Jefferson comes good. This is more of a hold him and see rather than bailing at the bottom dollar. Probably not a trade in, but he's an option.
And Mav, same thing for you. Besides Nico, anyone else that kind of that cheaper pod range again? Sometimes, you're just a bit strapped for cash and you have to settle for that lesser tier. Anyone really strike out for you that you'd be keen to bring in for the home stretch?
Good question. Nico Collins has been better, but again, Stroud will come back at some point, you'd imagine. I mean, look, Stroud, short turnaround, maybe that's why. That is the case. But outside of that, I mean, look, if you want Chris Olave to be just a real pod, he's been okay. He's now got no Shaheed there, so he should get majority of the work. Keep in mind, it's a rookie QB on the center, and the team sucks. But he's currently rated as probably a borderline top 12 option for the rest of the year. To be honest with you, I reckon he's on pace with sort of Justin Jefferson. I think it's sort of tit for tat for those two. So if you got Justin Jefferson problems, Olave might be a problem at some point as well. So that's sort of the risk that you run with guys that you want to go a bit different on, and pods, as we say. And then, I mean, outside of that, I mean, you can't really trust any of the Eagles wide receivers, so don't bring them in. And then the another one would be Jalen Waddle if you wanted to be a bit facetious, I suppose. But again, they're on buy, so why would you do that?
Exactly right. Why would you do that while on buy? Save those trades. Guys, tight ends, and again, similar to quarterbacks, we really have a big 3 here. You can kind of chop and change between those. From the top, Trey McBride with Jacoby Brissett there under center has just been absolutely lights out. You can't think he can make any more cash than what he's had, but he just keeps doing it. He's made just over 1.3 million last week at a whopping 18.6 mil, 8 break even. I mean, Secko, who was your probably favorite tight end moving in? I mean, for him or for you, is he the clear number 1? Is he worth that extra 4 million over Kittle and Bowers in that light?
If you've got Bowers and you're tossing up between McBride and Kittle, he probably is worth the 4 mil purely because of the buy for Kittle. I'm dirty that I got rid of him, but I didn't think Kyle would get benched. And let's not try and make it what it's not. He doesn't have a sore foot. Come on, he got benched and they covered it up with an IR because he was a former number 1 pick, and they paid him a lot of money. So I never saw it happening. He would have been useless still with Kyler, but Jacoby is a better passing quarterback. So while we know Jacoby's there for the rest of the season now, Trey McBride's just a great pick, and I wish I still had him. Having said that, Bowers obviously is still there. He what did he do last week out of interest? I can't remember. I have him. Couldn't have been great.
21.
I don't remember his score, but yeah. So again, it's passable. There's going to be those big games. We saw it 2 weeks ago. You definitely want him over, Travis Kelce, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren. You can keep Tyler Warren. If you've got him, he's still 50% owned. So he's off his buy now. If you've got him, you can probably just keep him, save a trade, because it's not that big a difference. But I still think you want one of the top 3 if you can get him.
And Mav, with these top 3, we touched on Bowers and Loveland. With Kittle, does have that buy coming up in 2 weeks, but -2 break even. He did make just under 800K. He's at that 14.6 mil mark. Are you kind of wasting a week and bringing him in early with 2 weeks before this buy? Or are you really trying to play out and wait until that buy crosses over in week 14 before you bring in Kittle?
So I reckon, look, it depends how big you want George Kittle, right? I mean, look, I think he's a monster. I love him. So if you've got coverage of Tyler Warren in your bench, and you want to trade in Kittle because you think he's better than Bowers or he's better schedule or whatever you think, that's okay. Because then you can play Tyler Warren in week 14 and got the Jags in week 14, and I'm not really too scared of the Jags defensively. So you're playing on a week where Tyler Warren would come in and Kittle would sit. So I'm okay with that matchup. If they play anyone difficult like Houston or Kansas, like they do the 2 weeks before, I'd be like, yeah, look, probably not. But week 14 against the Jags, if you want to play Warren, just due to Kittle having a bye week, it's not a problem. So, look, personally, boys, I've got Kittle below McBride and Bowers for the remainder of the year. But if you want to put Bowers below Kittle, I completely understand that too, because the offensive line and the QB play at the Raiders is very, very crap. So I can understand the fact that if you want to have a healthy Brock Purdy and an offense that can move the ball a bit more cleaner and effective, should I say, then that's not even really a word, but I'm going to make it a word. Then than the Raiders, then I completely understand. So but I like Bowers above Kittle personally as a player, but player. But again, you have to factor in who throws the ball in the offense that they're in. So
just imagine if Bowers had a semi-decent league average quarterback this year. I mean, wow, yeah, would have been definitely 4 wheels ahead. In terms of any cheaper guys, gents, I know we've got Loveland there. We mentioned him a little bit. Might be a bit too late on that boat. You really want to try and stick to these top 3 if you can, but 10 million, you can't do too bad. But I think if you want to get even better than that, cheaper price, probably better production, more stable production for the back end of the year, Juwan Johnson for the Saints. Again, very gross, but with Tyler Shuck and Shaheed out the door, he's been getting very stable production coming off that bye from last week, just under 9 million, -8 break even. I think if you are definitely strapped for cash, he would be the number one option I'd be looking to bring in outside of that. Secko, anyone else in terms of tight ends for you? Or again, you really want to try and stick to those top 3 if you can?
It's the top 3. I like the Juwan Johnson. If you need to go cheaper, if you just haven't got the cash and you're stuck with, as I said, Gadsden and Waller, I think there's some people that still are. Then I think Juwan Johnson is your option. You're saving money on Gadsden, 1.5 mil or thereabouts. And ever since Shuck's been in, he's been pretty solid. 15, 21, 34. Got rid of Shaheed, so it's a 2-man passing offense. They don't pass to Kamara anymore either, and he's rubbish. They haven't got any running game at all. Devin Neal and Taysom Hill. So Juwan Johnson really is the second option in that entire offense. It's a gross offense. Don't get me wrong, but I think he would definitely be my 4th ranked option to bring in out of everyone, and for his price at 8 mil, I think it's if you're shopping in that cheaper aisle and you have to, you can do a lot worse than turning Gadsden into Johnson this week.
Kickers, we won't really spend too much time on these guys. Similar to the trade outs, trade ins. Hopefully, at this point, you've got 2 kickers. But if you are looking to bring someone in, Mavis, he's definitely the most bottom of the barrel. Plays for the Rams. Only put up 6 points. They just didn't really need too much in that game. Sam Darnold throwing 4 interceptions helped them out quite a lot. But he's at basement price, 3.7 million. You can look to bring him in. And for the defenses, I mean, we touched on the Ravens for the last couple of weeks, but it's 7.5 million. Probably too late at this point. Mav, throwing it to you, defenses, is there anyone else that you might be looking to bring in kind of outside? Again, it's really hard with these defensive positions because any given week, you brought in the Seahawks, who's been a top defense the first X amount of weeks of the year. And as soon as you bring them in, they go to absolute shit. So it's hard to predict. You really need a crystal ball, but is there anyone else that really sticks out to you in terms of a defense you'd be looking to bring in?
Yeah, you'd just be looking at teams, I suppose, that have a nice, juicy schedule on the way home against backup QBs or rookie QBs or anything like that. Is probably the only other real suggestion that I've got out there. I mean, you don't want to be bringing in a defense that plays Josh Allen and Lamar, for example, in the last, or Mahomes, or these 2 teams twice, or 2 of those guys in the last 5 or so weeks. So, I mean, look, I was looking at Philly, for example. They're not too bad, but again, they've got Washington twice, but they still have Buffalo in there. They got Vegas in there. They got Chicago in there. Like they're capable of just, the offensive lines are a bit shaky there, and a lot of sack potential and forced fumbles there. So the Browns or the Eagles, sorry, wouldn't be a bad shout. Again, bad offensive lines there, and they've got the Chargers in there as well. I forgot to put them in there. We're talking about bad offensive lines. I think that's 4 of the 5 games there in a row they've got bad offensive lines. So outside of that, it's really hard. You're just looking at teams that you think have got good schedules that are favourable for defenses and try and ride the hot hand. I just sent a comment there from Rod in the chat there. He reckons the Rams. The Rams have got, for the remainder of the year, they have got where have they got? Tampa, Carolina, Arizona, Detroit, Seattle, Atlanta, Arizona. So that's not exactly the worst, but it's not exactly the best either. So, a couple of good teams in there, as you can expect, but Atlanta, maybe Arizona, maybe Carolina on a bad day. That depends. But I actually think the Eagles is a really good shout, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I like the Eagles too. That defense, they can definitely win games with that alone. Their offense does not need to do a whole lot whatsoever. That's all of our trade-ins and trade-outs. We'll jump into Captain's Huddle and doing a little things differently. We're saving a 15-minute show in the morning and tacking it on here. We've got 4 of our top vice-captain options and 4 of our top straight captain options if those VCs don't work out. If you were lucky enough last week with the VC on Josh Allen, didn't have to worry about a captain's option, which we absolutely love to do if that's available. Secko, for you, week 12, who's your number 1 VC you're looking to slap that blue band on?
So there's a very obvious one. It's a very clear indication. Everyone can loop if they use a Thursday night football guy in their VC. So we'll leave that. I mean, Josh Allen plays Thursday night. Having said that, he does play on the road at Houston. We've been really good against opposing quarterbacks for the last bit. So he's obviously an option. He'll be very, very popular. Other VC I love. This is more of a discussion to the people who want to trade him out, which is just ludicrous to me. Lamar Jackson, he's playing the New York Jets. Like they traded away their 2 best defensive pieces. They need to start winning as well. They need to keep winning. Baltimore, I can really see this being a not 89 like Josh got last week, but I can see him getting 70 plus this week against the Jets. He played 5 a.m. game as well, so you can put him in there. If you've got someone, hopefully, or someone to loop, in there, you can see what he does at the 5 a.m. game because he really is that upside, that high upside vice captain option that you want.
Yeah, and with these VCs, I should just preface, we really want to target, guys in that first game of the week, that Thursday night football, or in that early slate of games, then we have some time to adjust and throw that loop around. We've got Allen, we've got Lamar. Mav, who's your number 1 VC you'd be looking to slap it on this week?
I've also got Josh Allen as my number 1. That's just an easy, just the schedules just made it easy for us. So if it doesn't work out, we've got a weekend to make a decision if we're going to trade it out. Problem is, if he gets 45, do you take it or not? That's always the hard thing with Josh Allen. He's capable of obviously a 45, which is obviously it's a decent score. But do you take it or do you roll the dice? But I like Lamar as well. If you got him, he's got the 5 a.m. game. As Secko said, Drake May's got the 5 a.m. game as well against Cincinnati. So if you want, if you've got Allen and Drake May, which I do, you can always just do that into that. Allen into Drake May. And same with Mahomes. He's got a 5 a.m. slot against Indiana on Monday. So they're also not bad options in there. Also, when do the Niners play, boys? Oh, they play Tuesday. Okay, I was going to say that might be an option, but outside of that, there's probably not really else there that I really, really like. I think they're the four easy ones off the bat.
And out of those 4 quarterbacks, with the amount of roster percentages that we have across all, pretty much every team should have at least one, you'd hope, at this point of the year. In terms of top captains options, lads, to pair with if these guys fail. And Secko, we've got a couple of guys in that 5 a.m. slate. So, if you are running that VC on Josh Allen and he, maybe he drops 40, you're not too happy with it and you want to risk it, who's a couple of options in that early that early Monday morning slate that you'd be looking to roll with?
I can't go too far past my boy JSN. Bit of a rough game last week. Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. He was well off. The Rams were all over them. Close game in the end, but that was more on the back of the running game. Kenneth Walker having a decent game, but JSN still had 32 in a really poor quarterback performance. I think he's just super safe. So in VC, you're looking for massive upside. If that fails, you want your captaincy to be a somewhat safe option. Ideally, you want a quarterback to be your backup. So again, if you've got Allen and it fails, you can go Lamar, May, or Mahomes, whoever you've got. But there's other options here. Again, if you VC, you don't want to go for them, or you're carrying someone else. I think JSN against the Titans is an absolute smash position for him. Darnold's going to be obviously wanting to come back after a poor performance. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if JSN is back above that 40, 45 mark as a safe captaincy option.
And we also have Jahmyr Gibbs in that same light. Early Monday morning slate up against the Giants. Didn't really get it going in the rushing game last week against the Eagles, but that receiving game is just so dynamic in those tight matchups. Just get the speedster out there that can just make a play out of nothing. Up against the Giants, they've been absolutely leaking points all over the park for him. You can roll with Gibbs as well as a straight C if Allen fails on Thursday Night Football, which you probably won't, up against the Houston Texans. Mav, for you, straight captains options, we've got a couple names here. Who sticks out to mind that you'd be looking to put the C on if your VC shits the bed?
Well, definitely CMC. I actually thought he played the earlier slot, but turns out he actually plays the Tuesday slot, last game of the round or the week. So he's got the Panthers. The Panthers been okay as a run defense, but CMC is a different beast. So good luck containing him. Also, boys, it's actually not on our list here, but Puka Nacua plays the Bucks Sunday Night Football, Monday afternoon for us. I think that's a juicy matchup against the Bucks. The Bucks defensively aren't that great. So if you have Puka and you want to roll a dice on that, then I can see a world where he dominates the Bucks. Unfortunately, Devontae is still in the house, stealing all the touchdowns, but I can see a world where he has 8 to 10 catches in that game easily and just rips them apart. And if you want to get a bit silly and roll the dice on Bijan, he hasn't been great to this point for the last 5 weeks or so, but I think the offense should change and he should see a lot of touches, and they play the Saints. So that should be a nice little juicy matchup there for Bijan if he decides he wants to play top level football again.
I'd probably say out of that list, Bijan, he's definitely the one that probably is going to take the most kahunas. Seeing with Kirk Cousins under center starting, we don't really know how that's going to look without Drake London as well. So that's probably, if you want to risk it for the biscuit and get potty, I don't think a lot of people will be dropping that C on Bijan, given the uncertainty with that offense. But that's really all the Captains Huddle options that we have for week 12. Plenty of good ones there. I know myself, I love throwing the VC on the Thursday Night Football. It just makes it so easy to make your decision when the main slate of the games come on. We will get into a couple of questions. We do see there is a couple in the chat. Thanks heaps, everybody, for sticking around and throwing those in. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring that bell. We absolutely love it. It's the freest way to support us here at Inside NFL. Keeps us ticking along all season round. From the top, let's what do we have here in terms of question? One from P. Wern. He's the wet glove now in terms of JJ McCarthy. Gloves are actually useful, so I don't even know if you could go that far with the wet glove. One here from Ian. We love seeing his comments in here. Should I trade Quentin Johnston for Debo, perhaps? I think that because you've also thrown in here, Ian, I did see this in terms of this. So
trading first, I think. Yeah, first QJ before Debo. He has to trade both because they're both on bye, but tough spot.
Yeah, how do you think with this? Secko looping in, he's got, is Mahomes to Lamar viable? I've got that kind of same pinch at the moment. I know they've both been pretty average the last couple of weeks, but Mahomes up against the Colts, and then he's got the Dallas week 13. I'd probably be looking to move him out week 14, but Lamar, I think they've got Cincy in week 13. So you kind of got Mahomes against Dallas or Lamar against Cincinnati. It's probably going to be Lamar at the end of the day. So if you've got trades there, is that what you'll be looking to do, Secko?
Yeah, he probably just has slightly better matchups. I think it's quite similar. I feel like, I don't know, Mahomes has sort of trended down a little bit the last few weeks. He's had some tougher opponents, I know, but he hits Houston, Chargers, and Denver in the space of 4 weeks, from weeks 14 through 17. So whereas we went through Lamar's ad nauseum, Jets, Bengals twice. It's a massive run. I think you'll leak a few points if you do that. Now, is it worth a trade? I don't know if it's worth a trade at this stage of the year. Could be completely wrong, and Mahomes could come back. So yeah, tough to give advice on, but I would stick with Lamar I would go with Lamar if I had the choice out of the two.
And with Quinton Johnston or Debo, if you have to move out first, you're probably getting rid of Johnston. No, they both are on bye, but I mean, Debo, he's really the only kind of option they have there besides Zach Ertz for the Commanders. So you'd probably look to hold on to him if you can and get rid of QJ because, yeah, that offense is taking a massive hit. And one for you here, Mav. Looks like the only other thing we have is on Jackson Dart. Any news on him? I know it's still up in the air if he does play this week. Could be Jameis Winston, but even if he does, at this point in the year, are you looking to get rid of him with week 12 just around the corner?
Yeah, I think it's a week 13 bye or week 14 bye. He's got a bye coming up. So, yeah, it's 14. So, yeah, look, you probably can. He's at $22 million. He probably won't get any higher value, or $21 million. He probably won't get any higher value than he's at. He's actually the third best quarterback in the year based off average per game in this format. So I expect that to slightly drop. And if you want to get rid of him, now's probably the best time to sell. He's at the best price he'll probably ever get to. So yeah, I think that's probably the best time.
Love it. That will wrap things up here in terms of our live Q&A. Any other questions or trade dilemmas, guys, throw them on the YouTube section below, and we'll be sure to get to them before the week kicks off. Final show of the week coming up tomorrow with our Week 12 primer and starts of the week. I'll have to look back and see how well we did last week. And let's just say for now we did okay before I look back at it, but we'll touch on it tomorrow. And we'll also have a massive injury report update as well to get things into it with all the news that's popped up over the last couple of days. So thanks all for tuning in to Inside NFL. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Bye.